In at number 10, let's dive deep into the captivating tale of the manipulative mastermind, My Plotting Paramours. Sarah Jo Pender, often dubbed the female Charles Manson, an enigmatic figure whose intellect and charm knew no bounds, especially when it came to her scandalous affair with prison guard Scott Spittler. Hold on to your seats, because this story is a roller coaster of temptation and treachery, culminating in a breakout built on layers of betrayal. The setting is a maximum security prison, a place where guards and inmates are expected to be separated by a clear boundary of duty and discipline. But what happens when that boundary is crossed? Enter Scott Spittler, a prison guard whose uniform could not shield him from the magnetic pull of Pender's allure. This was no mere fling. It was a calculated seduction that would lead to one of the most audacious prison escapes ever recorded. My lovelorn lawbreakers, gather round the crypt as we delve into a tale of forbidden flames and incarcerated infatuations. Tonight, we unveil the top 10 forbidden love affairs behind prison walls involving prisoners. These are real-life tales, my darlings. And at number 9, let's unravel the tangled tale of the conman's courtship, My Fraudulent Flames. Stephen J. Russell and Philip Morris, a love story so daring that it could have been plucked straight from the pages of a romance novel if that novel was set in a prison. The lengths to which Stephen went to be reunited with his soulmate Philip pushes the boundaries of both love and law, a love that knew no bounds or bars. Stephen J. Russell was no stranger to the art of deception. A master manipulator, he had a rap sheet that included fraud and identity theft, but it was behind bars where he found something genuine: love. When he met Philip Morris, an inmate serving time for a non-violent offense, the attraction was immediate and electric. This wasn't just a prison fling. This was love in its most unanticipated form. And it gave Stephen a new reason to deploy his skills, a purpose fueled by passion rather than mere personal gain. But here's where the story twists into a convoluted spectacle worthy of Hollywood, and indeed, their tale inspired a movie. Stephen was not content to let prison walls keep him from his newfound love. With a blend of cunning and audacity, he orchestrated multiple escapes from various penitentiaries. These weren't your run-of-the-mill breakouts. We're talking impersonating judges, faking illnesses, and even altering prison records, strategies so elaborate that they were almost admirable in their audacity. In at number 8, Tyra Patterson and Cece McDonald, two women who found themselves behind bars for crimes they ardently claim were acts of self-defense. In a setting that's more accustomed to squashing spirits than kindling romance, they found each other and ignited a romantic rebellion of the highest order. Tyra Patterson was convicted of robbery and murder, though she consistently argued that her involvement was grossly misconstrued, a claim that garnered support from both social justice advocates and even some involved in the original case. Cece McDonald was imprisoned for manslaughter after defending herself during a transphobic attack, her case becoming a focal point for transgender rights activists across the nation. In at number 7, Karla Homolka and Jean-Paul Gerbe, two individuals whose criminal pasts are as dark as they come. Karla Homolka, convicted of manslaughter for her role in the deaths of at least 3 girls, including her own sister, found an eerily compatible soul in Jean-Paul Gerbe, a man serving time for murder. When these two dark souls crossed paths, it ignited a deadly duo of dark desires that leaves us grappling with unsettling questions about love and morality. Karla Homolka's crimes stunned Canada and gained international attention for their cruelty and depravity. Similarly, Jean-Paul Gerbe's actions landed him behind bars, away from society, which he endangered. Now, within the cold stone walls meant to keep them isolated from the world, they found a connection, a grim form of companionship that most would find incomprehensible. In at number 6, we're talking about Susan Smith and Houston Cagle, two souls entwined in a way that chills us to the core. Susan Smith, forever infamous for the unimaginable act of drowning her own 2 children in a lake, ostensibly to free herself for a relationship with a man who didn't want children, later found love, or what she considers love, behind the impenetrable prison walls. Her partner in this twisted tale? Houston Cagle, a fellow inmate with his own criminal past. If Susan Smith's initial crime brought forth a wave of public outrage, her newfound prison romance renews those sentiments, taking them to darker depths. We can't help but ponder the psyche of Houston Cagle, a man willing to enter into a relationship with a woman capable of such a heinous act against her own flesh and blood. Is it a shared understanding of criminality, a misguided sense of redemption, or a morbid fascination that unites these two? In at number 5, for this story revolves around Charles Manson and Afton Elaine Burton, two figures as controversial as they are captivating. Charles Manson, the notorious cult leader responsible for orchestrating the infamous Tate LaBianca murders, managed to captivate the attention of a young woman named Afton Elaine Burton, who goes by the name Star, even from behind bars. What drives a young woman in her 20s to not just correspond with, but actually become engaged to Manson, a man serving a life sentence for heinous crimes? The complexity of their relationship has puzzled psychologists, criminologists, and social observers alike. Burton, who had been corresponding with Manson since she was a teenager, moved to Corcoran, California, home to the prison where Manson was incarcerated, just to be closer to him. In at number 4, we focus on Eric and Lyle Menendez, two brothers who achieved national notoriety for their roles in the brutal killing of their wealthy parents in Beverly Hills, California. The shocking crime captured headlines, but what followed is equally intriguing. A love story that emerged from the depths of a maximum security prison. Both Eric and Lyle, who are serving life sentences without the possibility of parole, found unexpected love through correspondence with women who reached out to them post-conviction. These weren't just casual pen pals, but women who eventually became their wives. Eric married Tammy Ruth Sackerman, while Lyle tied the knot with Anna Erickson, a former model. However, it should be noted that Lyle's first marriage ended in divorce, but he later remarried another pen pal, Rebecca Sneed. In at number 3, let's unmask the twisted tale of Bobby Joe Long, a man whose name sends shivers down the spine for all the wrong reasons. Convicted for a series of violent crimes, including multiple murders, sexual assaults, and kidnappings, Long had a terrifying track record that would normally repel any suitor. But not Cynthia Bartle. Against all reason, she found something, or someone, to love within the depths of Long's dark soul. Cynthia, who started as a pen pal to Long while he was on death row in Florida, quickly became more than just a stranger offering platonic correspondence. Astonishingly, their relationship blossomed to the point where they became engaged, a shocking turn of events that left many puzzled and horrified. In at number 2, let us unspool the unlikely love story of Richard Ramirez, known infamously as the Night Stalker, and his bewitched bride, Doreen Leoy. Ramirez, whose name became synonymous with terror in the mid-80s, was responsible for a slew of home invasion crimes that included sexual assaults and murders. The public's fear of this man was palpable, and he was eventually sentenced to death. But as he awaited his fate on death row, something unusual unfolded, a love story that defies all logic and perhaps even sanity. Doreen Leoy, a magazine editor, was one of Ramirez's many female admirers who corresponded with him while he was incarcerated. However, Leoy was not just another face in a crowd of twisted groupies. She saw something in Ramirez that she believed was worth loving, worth fighting for, and ultimately worth marrying. After an intense 4-year courtship, which consisted mostly of letters and prison visits, the two were married in 1996 in a prison waiting room. In at number 1, we have the most unsettling yet oddly fascinating liaison of all time, my legalistic lovers. Brace yourselves as we explore the love story, or shall we say the love tragedy, of Ted Bundy and Carol Ann Boone. Ted Bundy, a name that sends chills down the spine, is one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. Responsible for the deaths of at least 30 young women, Bundy used his good looks and charm to lure victims before brutally ending their lives. You'd think a man like this would be the last person to find love, but love, as they say, is blind. Sometimes terrifyingly so. Enter Carol Ann Boone, a divorcee and a mother who met Bundy while working at the Department of Emergency Services in Olympia, Washington. Despite Bundy's criminal charges and the mounting evidence against him, Boone was convinced of his innocence. Their romantic relationship blossomed amidst the most improbable of circumstances, a courtroom where Bundy was on trial for murder. And there you have it, my lovelorn lawbreakers, the top 10 forbidden love affairs behind prison walls involving prisoners. A tale of illicit love and tantalizing taboos. But remember, these tales are but real-life revelations, and sometimes revelations can be a real scream.